Those of you who have been following me for even a modicum of time know that I always bang on people's heads with ear training. And I believe that training your ear and developing your inner musicality is the most important thing you can do, well beyond any technical aspect of your instrument. And the guitar is a strange instrument physically. So when we pick up the guitar for the first time, we're already entering this world of struggle because the strings are hard and we have pain in the fingertips, and we can't figure out the architecture. How come this note is here but it's also here? So we get drawn to the physical aspect of the guitar, and sometimes we never get back to the most important thing, which is the oral part. And so it's very important that as you develop as a musician on the guitar, you get back to the basics, which is, okay, what it is I want to play and how do I translate it to the guitar. And part of it, of course, is knowing the instrument. Please refer back to a video that I did just a few weeks ago. But also knowing what you want to play. And there's no connection between what you want to play and what instrument you play. The instrument comes after that, right? So the first thing is, what is your musical opinion on certain scales, on certain chords? What is your vision for whatever song you're doing or you're writing? And then the instrument comes in, and your technicality on the instrument and your physicality on the instrument will determine certain things, like the phrasing, the sound of each note, the timbre, you know, all that kind of stuff. But the most important thing is actually what you want to play. And the interface between what you want to play and you playing it is here, is in the ear and the brain. And so I always tell people that they have to get their shit together with ear training. But, and I think I also made a video or two, but telling people to train their ear can be counterproductive, because then you go online and you buy books and there's all kinds of theories. There's absolute pitch, there's relative pitch, and somebody says you can learn both of them, some of them say you can't learn any of them, and so on. And my belief actually is not that important as far as perfect pitch. I don't think you can really develop perfect pitch after maybe a very young age, but I do think that relative pitch, and I've seen it and I've done it maybe hundreds or thousands of times, I've made people develop their ear greatly. So I know that it can be done, and it's actually quite simple. But the other thing is that the process you use to improve your pitch, your relative pitch, is also varied. So today I want to distill the easiest way and the most direct way that you can do it in a manner that is more conducive to whatever you're going to be doing as a guitar player, right? Especially if you play modern music, there are certain scales, there are certain patterns that you're going to be using, and those are the ones we're going to focus on. And it's not going to be limiting though, so at the end of this, if you do it, you'll have great relative ear. Alright, so first of all, there are 12 intervals, and again, as I always said, you should know your interval table, and again, I'm going to post a video somewhere helping you out with that. But the reason of that is just to have names for whatever distances we use sound-wise, right? So if I play a C and a D, I would like to be able to apply this interval to any note and to any starting point. So that means that instead of actually knowing that this is a C and this is a D, I want to know that this is a major second. That way I can apply it anywhere on the neck, and my ear will still know what's coming before I play. Okay, so first thing is know your intervals. It's very simple. Here's a link. Study it really quickly, even write it down on a piece of paper. You don't need to memorize it right now, but it's good if you can. The second thing is, okay, let's start with the most basic scale and the most basic set of intervals that you'll find, and that's the major scale. And the major scale is made up of certain intervals, which are the root, major second, major third, fourth, fifth, major sixth, major seventh, and the octave. Okay, so it's very simple. It's 7 notes. 7 notes means I have to study 7 intervals, which are the distances between my root note, in this case it's C, and each of those 7 notes. Now, how do we do it? Well, first of all, get yourself a guitar and a small amp or an acoustic guitar, something to drink, because you're going to have to be singing for quite a while now. Don't do this more than 20 minutes a day. You don't have to. Maybe even 15 is enough. And you'll see great results. So, second thing is, know your voice a little bit. Know how far you can go as far as range. So find something that's not too low and not too high. It doesn't have to be C. We don't care about what note we're starting from. Okay, so in this case we're going to do it in C. It's a bit high for me, but it's a bit easier for you to see it. So I'm just going to play this very simple figure. It's simply a C major scale on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. And it just goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. As you can see, I'm using 7 notes out of 12 possible notes. So even if I'm only doing this, I'm already covering more than half of all options when it comes to going from one note to the next. Okay, so first step is very simple, is sing the scale. And some people say, well, I can't sing the scale. I think I know what a C major scale sounds like, or any major scale, but I can't quite sing it. So we make it easier. We're going to pick the scale and we're going to sing it as we play. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Like that, very simple, just all the way up. And we do it a few times. We can do it for days or weeks, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, it will help. As soon as you master this first step, which is quite self-explanatory, then the second step is to sing the same scale, but just ahead of your fingers. So you can play the first note, C, tune that with your voice, but the other notes you have to imagine them before you play them. So something like this. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? I should have drunk actually when I showed you my cup. My throat is dry already from talking so much. But try to sing it as well as you can. When you can do that consistently, then you actually master the ascending major scale, which is the scale going up from lower to higher notes. When that's done, we go to step number 3. And now what we want to do is open up the scale so that we don't rely on playing the whole thing straight up, right? Because when you improvise or you play, it's rare that you play like this. If you play a melody or a solo like that, you won't get very far. So you want to be able to maybe mix them up a little bit. So how do we practice that? How do we learn it? It's very simple. Again, copying the sound, not pre-imagining it, just copy it. Go through all the intervals. Okay, so root, major second, root, major third, root fourth, root fifth, root sixth, root major seventh, root octave, right? You sing the interval. And I'm actually singing at the same time as I'm playing, but you can actually wait a second, listen to it. C, D, or root, major second, and just tune it to the string. Root, major third, root, perfect fourth. Okay, so you don't have to sing right on top of it. You can just listen to it and try to vocalize it. And it's actually harder than it looks at the beginning, but you can get this done really quickly. And finally, the fourth step, as you might have imagined, is to do the same thing we did before, but this time singing before I can hear the interval. So I go like this. Root, major second, root, major third, root, perfect fourth, like that. Okay, so I'm actually now singing before I can hear it. That means that slowly I'm developing my ears so that from whatever note I use, I can predict what the interval will sound like. So that's step 4. The final step, and the 5th step, is to pick a note. You can start with the one you use for singing, and then just simply go like, okay, I'm gonna sing a major third. So you just sing da-da, or better said, root, major third, okay? And again, you can divide this into copying and predicting. And it's really useful. When you're done with this, you can maybe move up or down a little bit as long as your voice reaches the note. You can do it in different keys. You don't want to get too used to one single key, all right? Usually we have enough range to move a few frets up or down. Okay, so that's the major scale ascending. For descending, which is just as important, we do exactly the same thing. We take the major scale, we can listen to it a few times, and then we sing it. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Copying what we're hearing. You can actually play a note, B, A, G, F. You can take your time, listen, and copy. Okay, that's no issue at all. When that's done, then we anticipate. And so we sing C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. See what I'm doing? I'm singing before I hear the sound. Then we go to the top note again and we do all the intervals in relation to the highest root, right? C, B, C, A, C, G. Again, we copy. Step number 4, we predict. And step number 5 is we take a high note and randomly try to sing different intervals of the same scale, okay? Very simple stuff. Now, you might think, okay, well, I've done this and it took me a long time and I'm missing a few intervals because I'm only using the major scale. That's fine, because first of all, many scales share a lot of intervals. For example, even the major and minor scales, which are quite different from one another. As a matter of fact, they're like the big division in music is major and minor. They share, out of the 7 notes, they share 4, so it's more than half. Okay, so when we're done with the major scale, we move on to the minor scale. And I won't go through all the steps again, but basically all you do is this. You listen to the minor scale a few times, and maybe the first 2 or 3 days, all you have to do is just listen. Then you try to sing it. C, D, E flat. Actually, let's do the interval. Root, major second, minor third, fourth, fifth, minor 6, minor 7, 8. And then again you copy it, and then you predict it. So you just play the first note, and then you sing the second. D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C. Then you do all the intervals in relationship to the first note, to the root. Then you sing them, you predict them, and then you do them randomly and then backwards. Alright, so now you'll have the root, the major second, the minor and major third, the fourth, the fifth, the minor and major sixth, the minor and major seventh, and the root again, the octave. So that's a lot of them, right? You're only missing 2 of them. And you can do the remaining 2 in many ways. I suggest you use the modes to find them. Okay, so really quickly, now this is a bit more advanced, but even if you don't get into the modes right now, you have to master the missing intervals, which are the minor second, sorry, and the augmented fourth or diminished fifth. Everything else you got covered by doing major and minor scales. So what I suggest people do is use the modes. So take the major modes, which are Lydian and Mixolydian. So I'm playing C major, and I figure out that the Lydian mode is the same exact thing, but I have to raise the fourth. So C, D, E, F sharp. Okay, that's all you have to do. And it is true that this interval is new. You haven't sung that yet, even if you've done all your major and minor homework. But it's only 1 note out of 7, because the rest is the same as a major scale. So your ear will, of course, already be able to play everything else. And all you have to do is figure out this 1 note. And so again, the 5 steps are the same. Play the scale, sing it, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. And if you have to stay here a few days, it's fine. It's fine. Slowly this note will sound very natural to you. You're just not used to it. When you think you're ready, then you move on to steps 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? And it works great. Some other modes, like the Mixolydian mode, which is a major scale again, with the 7th note lower a half step, it's made up only of intervals you already know. Okay, even if the flat 7 is not a note on the major scale, it is on the minor scale. So it's not really hard. It's actually quite simple. And then we move on to the minor scale. And modify it to create the two minor modes, which are Dorian, which is the same as a minor scale but with a raised sixth. So again, very easy because we already know the minor scale. This note here, the minor sixth, has to be a major sixth, but we already know how to sing it because we use it in the major scale. Okay, so it's pretty simple stuff. Just be sure that you listen to it carefully long enough before you attempt singing it. So it's no issue if you just go like... For a few minutes a day, it doesn't matter, there's no rush. Then sing it a few times. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Get used to that strange sixth note, and then you'll be able to do all the steps. Do with Phrygian, which introduces the final missing link, the minor second. Okay, so da, 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 da. Sing it 100 times, and then do the steps, and finally do Locrian. Now, there's a lot more you can do, but if you can master this exercise, you get, I mean, so many miles out of it. It's ridiculous. Your ear will improve so much. You're improvising, your command of the instrument, everything will be like multiplied. So make sure you try this. And again, it's not short term, but it's not an impossible thing. A few months of this will yield great results. So it's worth your while. If you enjoyed this video, please do comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff, and like. And this hopefully will help me out getting these videos to more people, because I think the mysteries of YouTube are beyond my understanding. I've done some videos that are not so hot and they have so many views, and these things are really useful and I think will be of benefit to a lot of people. So if you can, maybe do your bit, and we'll maybe get this vlog to a different level. If not, that's fine. As long as it's useful for you, then as long as one person gets an advantage from this, then I guess that's fine. So again, thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.